I think sometimes when we're in the midst of making a major change in our lives, it can sometimes feel like we're going backwards. Like we are, yeah, just taking a few steps back, and it doesn't feel as progressive as we thought it would feel initially. And I don't necessarily know why that happens. I don't know if that's just kind of us having to really prove how bad we really want something and to kind of see it through. It's kind of like when you're dating someone and you have a little bit of a rough patch because maybe something came up for them or they're going through a hard time, and so you don't want to just like give up on your partner if they're for the most part a great person, they take care of you, they treat you well, all the things. But if there's like a few weeks where it's a little bit of a rough patch, you don't just like fully throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't just like give up on it. You see it out a little bit longer. You push through. You try to talk to them. You try to work it through. And then if it takes too long to kind of then progress itself and get better, of course, you move on. But when it comes to following your dreams and going after something you really want, a lot of the times it takes time, and it also takes you believing in something that some people don't see at all for you. Some people might not. It's really about you believing in it entirely and wholeheartedly and fully. And I think sometimes that's what challenge does. It builds resilience and really just having this deep inner knowing that you will do whatever it takes to see something through. Like you will give it your all. Whatever happens after that is not your business, because once you know you've given everything, all of you, there's like a peace around it. There's this sense of like, I woke up today and I showed up. I have a track record of every single day doing this thing that is for my growth. And readjusting and staying open to newer perspectives and staying open to new ways of doing things and all of the things. But you know that you showed up. And whatever happens after that is honestly out of your hands. You can't control everything. All you can do is control how you show up, how you respond, how you perceive the situation. And I think at the beginning, a lot of the times when we embark on this new endeavor, this new change, this new thing that we want to see come into fruition, it can often feel like we've taken a few steps back because maybe we're not making as much money right away. Maybe we were making more money at our corporate job or our 9-to-5 or our restaurant job, and when we go into our dream, we're not really making that much money right now, and that can be seen as like a failure. But it might seem like you've taken a few steps back, and maybe you have, but that doesn't have to be like a negative thing. That's not like a place where you just give up and you just say, well, I tried. No, that's actually the time where you push through even further. I once had a friend of mine tell me that he was a music producer, and I was getting his advice on just music creation and all the things in that realm. And I don't know how we got to talking, but it was kind of like about how when you're making music, there's sometimes you hit a wall, and there's just a moment where you can't really figure out what it is that you want to change. And so in that moment, like, you've tried for a little bit, but it's like not really flowing anymore, and you have a choice point. You can either turn your computer off and go do something else, or what he said is that's actually the most powerful time. If you stay there with that problem for just 5 more minutes, like just 5 more minutes, you will be surprised on what will come out of that situation. Like, just, he was so adamant about just saying, like, when you feel that frustration and you want to give up, give it 5 more minutes. Just give it 5 more minutes, and trust me, it will change everything. And sometimes the solution was right under our nose, and we just had to be with the problem a little bit more. Sometimes it's just like hitting another button and like the whole thing changed, you know, or adding some reverb, or laying down a simple drum loop, or there's so many different things, you know. And he was just like, give it 5 more minutes. In that moment where you want to give up, give it 5 more minutes. And that really stuck with me, because I think it's really easy to just turn it off, just give up and go to something else. But when we really believe in what we're doing and we really want to get better, and it's really important to us that we see it through, we need to showcase that in all areas. We need to commit to it. We need to push through and hack the code of whatever it is, you know. And I think there's a balance between it. I think there's times where it's better to take some space away, because for me, I, at the end of the day, want to be having fun in my creation process. I don't want it to be this like overwhelming, stressful like thing. It's actually a place of release for me, of enjoyment, of fun and creative energy. I like it, you know. And so I think there's a balance between that. But I just don't think at the first sight of challenge we should just be, you know, giving up. I just don't feel like that's not really building the resilience that you need to see your dreams come into fruition. You know what I mean? And I think when it feels like at the beginning, when we embark upon something, when it feels like we're not really making the progress that we want to make at the rate in which we wanted to make it, it can be easy to feel discouraged. And I guess what I want to say is use that feeling of being discouraged to actually fuel you. There's actually a way to do that. It's actually pretty crazy, and I talked about it in my other video when I spoke about how you respond to like constructive criticism. Like, how do you respond to that? You know, it's a perception thing, it's a perspective thing, where you can choose to allow challenge to crush you or elevate you to that next level. And so anytime I see something challenging come up, I'm like, okay, well, this is a moment where I have room for improvement, and this is a moment where I can learn something new, and I can really challenge myself in a new way. And so let me use this, let me milk this experience so that I can get the most out of it and come out of this situation with new insight, new clarity, a new hack potentially. I can't even begin to tell you the times where I've been frustrated kind of editing or working on a song or something like that, and it's been these like slight things that are right under my nose, and I'm getting so frustrated trying to figure it out, and then eventually I spend time and hours sometimes trying to figure it out, because I just like kind of have that about me where like I want to just figure it out, and it would end up being just like one little button I had to click, and then it was solved, you know. And then there's this sense of like release and just kind of like, what the heck, you know, it was like right there the whole time, but I'm so glad I saw it through rather than postponing it, you know, because what you do now is affecting like your future self. I don't know if you've ever like thought of it that way, but like when you wash the dish, when you like, let's say you finish eating dinner and you wash your dish rather than choosing to leave it in the sink, you are looking out for yourself, your future version. And I mean, obviously if you live with roommates or family or something like that, that's something that someone else won't have to do. But your future self is now going to have a clean dish and is not going to have to wash the dish later, you know. So I like to think in terms of like, what could I do for my future self? If in those 3 hours, you know, I was editing and I couldn't figure this one thing out and I just gave up, I would have to figure that out later, you know. So then I'm just not really looking out for my future self as much. I'm not really trying to make her life easier, you know. And so I try to think in terms of that even when it comes to silly things like laundry, I could leave the laundry in the bed, and I do sometimes, or I could just not even think about that lazy part of the brain that just like doesn't want to do it. I could just like turn that part off and just say, I'm just doing it. Like sometimes I've just learned you have to turn your brain off and just do the thing that you need to do for yourself, for your current self and for your future self. And so I just feel like a lot of it is turning off our brain and going into action and doing the thing that we know needs to be done. And it doesn't have to be this complicated thing. It doesn't have to be this strung out process. It's just a simple, just do it, So, yeah, don't be discouraged if at the beginning of your process you're not really making the progress that you want to be making. I think that it's kind of a time where you have to really show you want it. Like I'm a believer that you do have to meet the universe or God or love halfway. God can't just come in and like change your life they can, but it doesn't happen all the time. A lot of the times it's like these smaller micro changes that need to happen, and it's up to us to show that we are serious about that change and that change is important to us and that we're willing to show up for that change. And oftentimes we have to be the ones to kind of do it and then let the universe come meet you where you are. If every day you're saying like, I want to get better, I want to do this, like this is important to me, you're always showing up, something is eventually going to give. Like the universe's energy is going to meet you halfway because your thoughts are aligning, your actions are aligning, everything is aligning. Your body is moving in alignment with that thing that you want. So if your spirit, mind, and soul are all moving in alignment with what you say you want, all your boxes are checked, so to say. And so you're doing all of the right things. And that is just like a force that you are walking with in life. That's, I think we forget a lot of the times that when we walk into a room or in a situation, we shift the energy. Like you come into a situation and you experience the energy that you bring in. If you walk into a room all sad and like with your head down and just like, that's your experience. But if you walk in there confidently and you're thinking to yourself like, what cool people am I going to meet today? Like how open, can I be today? Like whose story can I learn about today? What is something new I can learn from being in this situation? Like if you walk in with that intention, like that's what you're going to get, because you are the one deciding, you are the one causing yourself to be in that energy, and then now you're causing yourself to receive that energy because you're not at the mercy of someone else's energy. You know what I mean? You're the one that is choosing your energy, and that's a powerful place to be, to know that you can choose how you can experience something. So life is really you experiencing you, you experiencing you. And it's really up to you how you want to choose to experience it, and I say this all the time, but it's true. And so don't give up on that thing that you are really passionate about. Keep going. Show the universe and love and God that you're serious about it and that you want to grow and become better, and just keep pushing through. And I think a beautiful thing will happen if you do that. So I'm sending you a ton of love. Peace out.